Stop being strong. Why your softness is your greatest competitive advantage. Welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dola say, like sweet softness whispered in French, and I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, in loving every second of it. Today, I want to share something with you that came from a conversation that absolutely rocked my world. I sat down with Lucretia Dailey, and what she shared with me transformed how I think about power, excellence, and what it means to build a career or business that doesn't break you in the process. Lucretia Dailey is doing the work, the real work of making this world softer, more just, and more human, especially for Black women navigating space that were never designed with us in mind. She's out here redefining what leadership looks like when it's rooted in care, when it's grounded in community, when it refuses to sacrifice humanity for profit. And what I learned from our conversation is something I believe every single one of us needs to hear right now. So let me ask you something. When you think about being successful in tech, in business, in leadership, what comes to mind? For most of us, we've been taught that success means grinding harder, showing up tougher, proving ourselves louder. We've been told that softness is a liability, that rest is laziness, that boundaries are unprofessional, that if we want to be taken seriously, especially as Black women, we have to harden ourselves just to survive. But here's what I want to challenge today. Here's the idea that might make you uncomfortable, that might make you defensive, that might make you want to close this out and walk away. Softness is not the opposite of power. Softness is not the opposite of excellence. Softness for Black professionals in tech, in AI, in entrepreneurship, in any high pressure space is actually a strategy for sharper decision making, deeper innovation, and long term impact. Let me say that again because I need you to really hear this. Your softness, your intuition, your emotional intelligence, your boundaries, your rest, your community ties. These are not liabilities in your professional or entrepreneurial journey. They are intellectual property. They are competitive advantages. They are design principles. And when we apply that to tech, AI, and business, we don't just survive these systems, we re engineer them. Now, I know some of you are listening and thinking, that sounds beautiful, LeAnne, but how does that actually work? How do I stay soft in a world that punishes softness? How do I protect my peace when the bills are due and the deadlines are tight and the world keeps demanding more and more and more? So let me take you into the work of some brilliant Black women who are already doing this, who are already proving that softness and strategy are not opposites, they are partners. Let's start with Dr. Lucretia Williams. Dr. Williams is a senior research scientist at Howard University's Human Centered AI Institute. Her work focuses on the lived experiences of underrepresented communities and how emerging technologies can improve access to systems that traditionally overlook their needs. She specialized in designing and evaluating culturally responsive health technologies, and she's also a co founder of an AI based startup. Now, here's what makes Dr. Williams' work so powerful, so necessary, so disruptive. She's operating in an AI and tech ecosystem that has historically marginalized Black communities, that often treats us as data points rather than decision makers, that builds tools for us without ever asking us what we actually need. She's navigating the dual pressures of being one of the first Black women to earn a PhD in informatics from UC Irvine while carrying expectations to represent and advocate for underrepresented groups. But instead of hardening herself to fit into that system, instead of shrinking herself to make the gatekeepers comfortable, Dr. Williams centered lived experience as a legitimate and necessary input into AI design. She focused on culturally responsive health technologies, meaning tools that are designed with an understanding of cultural context, language, trust, and historical inequities. She co founded an AI based startup to translate research insights into practical tools and solutions, blending scholarship with entrepreneurship. And the outcomes? She contributed to international research that reframes AI as a tool for community empowerment rather than just efficiency or profit. She helped advance frameworks that show how AI can reinforce human agency, trust, and storytelling rather than erase it. She modeled a career path where a Black woman scientist leads with care, community, and narrative while still operating at the highest levels of research and innovation. Dr. Williams' journey includes becoming one of the first Black women to receive a PhD in informatics from the University of California, Irvine. From there, she pursued a research agenda that refused to separate technical rigor from social impact. Her work at Howard University's Human Centered AI Institute and her role as co author and panelist for AI for Community highlight a consistent through line. Technology must be accountable to the people it claims to serve. So here's the first truth I want you to hold on to: design your work around your humanity, not the other way around. Whether you are in corporate, academia, or building a startup, your boundaries, rest, and emotional well being are strategic assets. They sharpen your judgment, protect your creativity, and prevent you from building businesses or products that replicate the same harm you escaped. Now, let's talk about Kimberly Bryant. Kimberly Bryant is the Black woman electrical engineer who founded Black Girls Code in 2011, a nonprofit dedicated to increasing the number of Black girls in tech by introducing them to computer programming and technology. The organization operates in multiple U.S. cities and abroad, offering workshops, hackathons, and camps designed specifically for Black girls. Kimberly founded Black Girls Code after her own daughter attended a tech camp where she was one of the only Black girls and felt isolated, invisible, othered. Brian's professional background in engineering and her lived experience as a Black woman in male dominated tech spaces led her to envision a different kind of tech ecosystem, one where Black girls were not an exception, but the norm, not a charity case, but the future. But here's what's so important about how she built this organization: she didn't just focus on technical content, she designed learning spaces centered on psychological safety, cultural affirmation, and community. She built a community based model where local chapters, volunteers, and families co create programming, reinforcing trust and belonging. She positioned Black Girls Code not just as a pipeline to jobs, but as a platform for Black girls to see themselves as creators, leaders, and innovators in tech. And the outcomes? Black Girls Code has served thousands of Black girls across the US and internationally, exposing them to coding, robotics, and other STEM skills. The organization has been widely recognized as a leader in diversity in tech, partnering with major companies and institutions to expand its reach. Many alumni have gone on to pursue STEM majors and careers, demonstrating long term impact on representation in tech. So here's the second truth: your lived experience is data and it belongs in the room. Researchers like Dr. Lucretia Williams are showing that centering the lived experiences of underrepresented communities leads to more culturally responsive and effective technologies, especially in health and community facing tools. You do not have to leave yourself at the door to be credible. Your story is part of the evidence base, your pain is part of the blueprint, your humanity is part of the solution. Now, let me take you to Dr. Joy Bulamwini, Dr. Joy Bolamwini is a Ghanaian American computer scientist and digital activist who founded the Algorithmic Justice League, an organization that combines art, research, and advocacy to fight bias in AI systems. Her work gained prominence through research and the documentary Coded Bias, which exposed racial and gender disparities in facial recognition technologies. As a graduate student at MIT Media Lab, Dr. Bolamwini noticed that facial analysis software failed to detect her face unless she wore a white mask. That deeply personal experience, rooted in her identity as a dark skinned Black woman, became the seed for a research agenda and a movement. Instead of detaching from that experience to appear objective, instead of pretending it didn't hurt, she leaned into it, treating her own story as valid data and a starting point for systemic investigation. She conducted and published rigorous research on gender and racial bias in commercial AI systems, including facial recognition. She used storytelling, art, and film to translate technical findings into narratives that policymakers, communities, and non experts could understand and act on. She built the Algorithmic Justice League as a community oriented organization that invites public participation in identifying, documenting, and challenging AI harms. And the outcomes? Her work contributed to major companies including IBM, Microsoft, and Amazon pausing or changing their facial recognition offerings due to bias concerns, and to legislative debates on AI regulation in multiple jurisdictions. She elevated algorithmic bias from a niche technical concern to a mainstream civil rights and public policy issue. She positioned a Black woman researcher and activist as one of the leading global voices on AI ethics and justice. So here's the third truth: community centered strategy is not soft, it is how you build durable power. The most resilient ventures and careers are anchored in relationships, trust, and shared values. When you build products, services, or leadership practices that serve your people first, rather than only chasing validation from dominant systems, you create impact that lasts and you protect your mental and emotional health in the process. Now, I want to bring this home for you because I know some of you are listening and you're thinking, okay, LeAnne, I hear you, but I'm tired. I'm so tired. I've been grinding for years. I've been holding it together for everyone else. I've been showing up strong because that's what I was taught. And now you're telling me I need to be soft? How do I even start? Here's what I want you to know: softness is not about being weak, softness is about being wise. Softness is about recognizing that the cape you've been wearing, the one that says you have to do it all, be it all, carry it all, the cape is heavy. And it's okay to take it off. It's okay to say, I'm done performing strength for people who wouldn't even notice if I collapsed. Dr. Lucretia Williams didn't build her career by pretending she didn't care about her community. She built it by centering her community. Kimberly Bryant didn't create Black Girls Code by ignoring her daughter's pain. She built it by honoring that pain and turning it into purpose. Dr. Joy Bulamwini didn't become a leader in AI ethics by hiding her face. She became a leader by naming what happened to her face and demanding that the world do better. These women are showing us that softness, allowing yourself to feel harmed, to name that harm, and to respond with care for your community can lead to structural change in how powerful technologies are built and governed. They're showing us that our personal experiences with bias are not just private burdens. They can be catalysts for ventures, organizations, and advocacy that reshape entire industries. So here's what I need you to do right now. I want you to think about one area of your professional or entrepreneurial life where you've been taught to harden yourself just to survive. Maybe it's your schedule. Maybe it's your client policies. Maybe it's your hiring practices. Maybe it's your product roadmap. Maybe it's the way you show up in meetings. Maybe it's the way you talk to yourself when you make a mistake. Within the next 7 days, I want you to choose one area and make a single specific change that honors your humanity more fully. Write it down. Share it with a trusted friend or mentor and treat that shift as an experiment in building a softer, more sustainable version of success. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud: you don't have to keep grinding yourself into the ground to be excellent. You don't have to keep sacrificing your peace to be powerful. You don't have to keep hardening yourself to be heard. You don't have to keep performing strength for systems that were designed to break you. Your softness is your strategy. Your rest is your resistance. Your boundaries are your brilliance. And when you build from that place, you don't just survive, you thrive. And you create space for all of us to thrive with you. So I'm going to leave you with this. Stop being strong. Start being soft. Start being whole. Start being human. And watch what happens when you stop trying to fit into their systems and start building your own. Watch what happens when you stop asking for permission and start giving yourself permission. Watch what happens when you stop waiting for the world to soften and you become the softness the world needs. This is your invitation. This is your permission slip. This is your call to revolution. Take off the cape, put down the armor, step into your softness, and let's build a world where Black women don't have to choose between success and survival, where we can have both, where we can have it all on our own terms, in our own time, in our own way. The soft girl era isn't coming, it's already here, and it starts with you.